Hello and welcome. Today I bring you something truly special. What would you think if I told you that Saturn is considered the jewel of the solar system, not only because of its beauty, but because of the profound mysteries it has carried since the very beginning of everything? This planet functions almost like an archive of the past, preserving within its internal structure signs of extreme conditions that no longer exist in many other places. Although Saturn may appear like a still painting through the lens of a telescope, it spins with such speed that an entire day there lasts just a little over 10 hours. Faced with so much energy and secrets guarded for millennia, what truly sustains the existence of those magnificent structures that orbit its equator? We will understand the details of this world, traveling from the formation of the rings to the rivers of methane on Titan. We will explore the evidence revealed by the Cassini probe and mentally simulate what it would be like to descend into its hexagonal storm, feeling how this knowledge transforms our vision of the future of space exploration. Before we continue, I'd like to ask for your support. If you enjoy journeys through science like this one, consider subscribing and sharing this exploration with others who are curious about the universe. Your support helps Cosmos for Rest continue bringing calm, thoughtful explorations of astronomy and physics to this space. Now allow your body to relax. Gently close your eyes and let science guide you. Imagine that we are floating in a space of absolute silence, where the only light reaching us comes from a distant sun, appearing little more than a very bright star in the middle of the deep darkness. Ahead of us emerges a vision that would leave you in disbelief, something that seems to challenge the very reality of nature through its geometric perfection and serene beauty. We are approaching Saturn, the true jewel of our solar system, a world of proportions so vast that our own home, Earth, would seem like nothing more than a small grain of sand beside its majestic immensity. Can you imagine the magnitude of a planet that has no solid surface where one could stand, yet still exercises a gravitational authority capable of holding hundreds of smaller worlds in orbit around it? This is the starting point of our journey, a place where physics and poetry blend in a way that we rarely encounter in other corners of the cosmos, inviting us to descend through layers of mysteries that science still attempts to decipher with patience and reverence. As we think about the origin of this giant, we are transported to a remote past more than 4.5 billion years ago, when our solar system was nothing more than a chaotic disk of dust and gas spinning around a newborn sun. Saturn began to form from the accumulation of primordial remnants, pulling toward itself immense quantities of hydrogen and helium, the lightest and most abundant elements in the universe, transforming into a gaseous sphere of colossal proportions. You might find it fascinating to realize that, although it is the second largest planet we know in our neighborhood, its density is so low that if there were an ocean large enough to contain it, Saturn would gently float upon its surface. This characteristic reveals an almost ghost-like nature, a monumental body with enormous mass, yet composed primarily of gases that, under extreme pressures in its interior, behave in ways that challenge the physical rules we observe in our everyday life on Earth. When we try to feel the scale of this world, the numbers quickly become almost abstract, yet the sensation of smallness remains very real. Saturn lies at an average distance of about 1,400,000,000 kilometers from the Sun, meaning that the light warming our faces takes roughly 1 hour and 20 minutes to reach the golden clouds of this gas giant. Imagine the isolation and peace that exist at such immense distances, where warmth becomes a distant memory, and the cold of deep space shapes the environment in relentless ways. And yet, when we observe this planet through a telescope for the first time, the feeling is not one of coldness but of immediate and profound enchantment. It is impossible not to feel moved by the sight of those rings that seem to embrace the planet with a supernatural elegance, a structure that stretches for thousands of kilometers, while remaining astonishingly thin, often measuring no more than 10 meters thick in certain regions. This giant is not merely a passive sphere drifting through space. It is a dynamic engine of meteorological and gravitational forces. You might find it hard to believe the speed with which Saturn performs its dance of rotation. Despite being more than 9 times the diameter of Earth, it completes a full rotation in just a little over 10 hours and 30 minutes, an astonishing pace that flattens its poles and causes its equator to bulge outward, giving the planet a slightly oval shape. This rapid motion generates winds that can reach speeds of nearly 1,800 kilometers per hour, creating patterns of clouds and storms that can last for decades or even centuries without ever fully dissipating. Traveling mentally through these atmospheric layers feels like entering a labyrinth of ammonia, ammonium hydrosulfide, and water, where the colors shift between pale yellow, beige, and soft gold, reflecting sunlight in a way that gives Saturn its gentle and distinctive glow. The true essence of Saturn, however, lies in what we cannot immediately see. Beneath those visible clouds, pressures increase so dramatically that gaseous hydrogen is compressed until it becomes a metallic liquid, an exotic substance capable of conducting electricity and generating the planet's powerful magnetic field. Can you imagine an ocean of liquid metal stretching for thousands of kilometers beneath the atmosphere, serving as the beating heart that protects the Saturnian system from the radiation of space? It is within this deep and mysterious core that the story of the planet is written, hidden under layers of pressure that would crush any human-made object in an instant. To sense the presence of this core is to recognize that Saturn is far more than its outward appearance suggests. It is a complex and interconnected system in which every particle of ice within the rings and every one of its more than 140 moons plays a fundamental role in maintaining cosmic balance. As we begin this exploration, it is essential that we set aside our earthly notions of limits and stability. On Saturn, everything exists in a state of constant movement and transformation. At the point where everything begins, we find a quiet harmony between the immensity of the void and the density of matter, an invitation to discover how a world so distant can teach us so much about the origins of our own place in the universe. Let us follow the invisible pathways of gravity that shape this giant, understanding that every detail, from the smallest pebble of ice orbiting within its rings to the largest storm swirling over its poles, belongs to a monumental narrative that began billions of years ago and continues to unfold before our attentive minds and tranquil imagination. Now that we have placed ourselves before the magnitude of this gas giant, I invite you to come even closer, leaving behind the distant view of the whole, so that we can descend into what would be the vibrant and yet silent routine of the most famous structure in our solar system. Can you imagine what truly happens when we penetrate that golden, shimmering haze that surrounds Saturn's equator? From afar, the rings appear like a solid disk, a continuous road of light decorating the planet with an almost artificial perfection. Yet as we reduce our mental scale and integrate ourselves into the flow of that environment, we discover a reality that is far more chaotic, alive, and astonishing. The rings are not a single piece, but rather a vast collection of trillions of individual fragments of ice, each following its own orbit, almost like miniature planets dancing in a choreography governed strictly by gravity and by the invisible tides of the giant that sustains them. As we travel through this environment, you would likely be fascinated to realize that almost everything present there, about 99% of this monumental structure, is composed of pure water ice. Imagine trillions upon trillions of pieces of ice, ranging from particles as fine as powdered sugar to immense blocks the size of houses or even mountains, all reflecting sunlight with such brilliance that the rings become some of the brightest structures we can observe in deep space. It is this purity of ice that gives Saturn its radiant appearance, yet it also tells us a story filled with mystery about the routine of this system. Can you imagine how something so exposed to the constant bombardment of cosmic dust and debris manages to remain so clean and luminous for such immense spans of time? This is one of the great puzzles scientists continue to investigate, because logically, if these rings had existed since the formation of the solar system 4.5 billion years ago, they should already be darkened and coated with layers of accumulated cosmic soot. Life within the rings is marked by a ceaseless dynamism. Even though the vacuum of space suggests absolute silence, the routine of these fragments is one of constant interaction. Imagine gentle collisions happening every moment, where blocks of ice touch, merge briefly, or break apart into even smaller pieces. It is a continuous recycling of matter, where nothing remains still. In addition, the gravity of Saturn and the influence of its nearby moons create waves and patterns that travel through the rings like ripples across a calm lake after a stone has been dropped into the water. You might feel astonished to discover that there are moons so small, called shepherd moons, that orbit precisely within the gaps between the rings. They act as guardians of cosmic order, using their gravity to push ice particles back into place, keeping the edges of the rings sharp and well-defined, preventing the material from dispersing into the void. Without these small companions and their constant gravitational vigilance, Saturn's jewel would likely have dissipated long ago. And yet this beauty that captivates us so deeply carries within it a profoundly fleeting nature. And here lies one of the most melancholic and fascinating truths about Saturn. The most recent studies indicate that the rings are, in fact, a relatively young and temporary structure on the scale of cosmic time. Scientists estimate that they formed only about 100 million years ago, which in the lifetime of the universe is almost as if they appeared just a few minutes ago. Can you imagine that during the time when dinosaurs walked across Earth, Saturn may not yet have possessed its magnificent rings? It would have been simply another gas giant, lacking the ornament that defines it today. And just as they appeared recently, they are also destined to disappear. Astronomers have identified a phenomenon known as ring rain, an invisible process in which Saturn's magnetic field and gravity gradually pull particles of ice downward into the planet's atmosphere. Imagine tons of ice draining away every second, transforming into water vapor as they fall into Saturn's upper atmospheric layers. This process is so intense that scientists believe that within roughly another 100 million years, the rings will vanish entirely, leaving the planet once again without its luminous crown. It is a slow and constant loss, where the very existence of the rings becomes a quiet struggle against the forces that seek to consume them. Feeling this transience helps us appreciate even more the moment in which we live, because we exist within the brief window of cosmic time when this wonder can still be observed and studied. The falling ice not only erodes the rings but also alters Saturn's atmosphere itself, producing an unexpected warming in its upper layers, almost as if the planet were being gently heated by a fireplace of frozen diamonds falling endlessly from the sky. The routine of Saturn therefore becomes a reminder that even the most monumental structures in the universe possess a life cycle, an infancy, a maturity, and eventually, an ending. As we imagine the motion of these countless particles, we begin to understand that there is no boredom in space. Every fragment of ice follows a unique path, and every shadow cast by one ring upon another creates patterns of light and darkness that shift slowly as the planet rotates. It is an experience where harmony and destruction walk side by side, where beauty is born precisely from instability. Can you imagine the patience required to observe changes that unfold across decades? The missions we have sent there allowed us to sense the pulse of this system, capturing the glimmer of icy particles and the faint electromagnetic whisper created by their interaction with Saturn's magnetic field. Traveling mentally through Saturn's rings teaches us about the fragility of perfection. What appears to us as a crown of light is, in truth, a gravitational battleground, where ice struggles to remain in orbit while the planet calls it inward toward the abyss. This tension creates an energy that spreads throughout the entire Saturnian system, influencing the behavior of the clouds below and the moons above. It is a profound interconnection that reminds us that nothing in the universe exists in isolation. The routine of the rings is the routine of Saturn itself, a cycle of renewal and descent that shapes the identity of this extraordinary world. Let us feel this slow dance, allowing the thought of trillions of crystals of ice drifting in the void to bring a quiet sense of peace and wonder, recognizing that we are witnessing a spectacle that is both immensely grand and fleeting within the endless ocean of time. Now that we have moved across the luminous surface and the fleeting nature of the rings, I invite you to descend into a region where the apparent calm hides mechanisms of astonishing complexity. Let us mentally move down through the deeper layers of Saturn, where the silence becomes denser and the pressure begins to shape physical reality in ways that would leave anyone in disbelief. There is a phenomenon that scientists refer to as Saturn's energy crisis, one of the deepest and least obvious elements of this gas giant. Can you imagine that the upper layers of Saturn's atmosphere are hundreds of degrees warmer than solar physics would logically predict? Because it lies so far from the sun, Saturn should be a frozen world at every altitude, yet measurements reveal a vibrant heat that defies expectations. Let us understand how the inner workings of this planet operate to generate this mysterious warming, a strategy of nature that seems to connect the fate of the rings with the thermal balance of the planet itself. As we move through these high altitudes, we begin to sense the presence of an invisible and constant rain that is not made of liquid water like the rain on Earth. It is the fall of ice coming directly from the majestic rings, a mechanism that acts as a bridge between the empty vacuum of space and the deeper atmosphere. You might find it astonishing to realize the scale of this event. Tons of microscopic ice particles are drawn downward every second by magnetism and gravity, plunging into Saturn's clouds. When this ice collides with the atmospheric gases, it releases energy and heat, functioning almost like a cosmic fireplace that keeps the upper part of the planet mysteriously warm. It is a system of absolute interdependence, where the slow destruction of the rings becomes the very fuel that sustains Saturn's thermal dynamics. Let us imagine the vibration of these molecular collisions, feeling how primordial ice dissolves into hydrogen and subtly alters the chemistry and temperature of an entire world. The strategy behind this rain of ice is governed by Saturn's magnetic field, an invisible yet powerful shield that organizes the apparent chaos. Can you imagine lines of magnetic force stretching for thousands of kilometers, acting like unseen rails guiding each tiny crystal of ice toward the poles and the equator? This magnetism does not merely protect the planet, it also dictates the rhythm of atmospheric life, creating electric currents that move through the clouds and generate auroras of subtle beauty, phenomena that do not depend solely on our eyes to be understood, but rather on our perception of pure energy. It is a hidden mechanism operating constantly, ensuring that Saturn is not simply a silent sphere but a vibrant electromagnetic engine. As we sense the pressure of these forces, we begin to understand that the planet's internal structure is far more complex than a simple ball of gas. As we continue descending into deeper layers, the strategy of physics begins to change dramatically. Hydrogen, which in the upper atmosphere exists as a light and diffuse gas, begins to transform under the crushing weight of the clouds above. You might find it fascinating to discover that at immense depths, hydrogen becomes liquid and eventually assumes an exotic metallic state. Imagine an ocean greater than anything we could conceive, where hydrogen behaves like a flowing metal, capable of conducting electricity and sustaining the enormous magnetic field of the planet. This metallic hydrogen is one of the great secrets hidden inside Saturn, the central mechanism that produces the internal heat the planet radiates into space. Saturn emits more energy than it receives from the Sun, and that ability originates deep within, from a process of differentiation where helium separates from hydrogen and falls toward the core like a rain of liquid metal descending into an endless abyss. This separation of elements generates massive convection currents that move enormous volumes of gas and liquid, feeding the storms that travel across the upper atmosphere. Can you imagine the effort of nature in maintaining this balance, where heat from the core slowly rises while ice from the rings falls downward, forming a perpetual cycle of energy exchange? It is a silent and monumental mechanism operating under pressures that could turn carbon into diamonds. In fact, scientists believe that in certain layers of Saturn the chemistry becomes so extreme that a true rain of diamonds may occur, where methane molecules break apart and carbon crystallizes into gemstones that sink into the metallic darkness below. Let us mentally travel through that descent, feeling the atmosphere grow denser until the very concept of air disappears, and we become surrounded by a warm, fluid mass that preserves records of the solar system's earliest formation. The less obvious details of Saturn also include the way the planet interacts with time and with the surrounding space. Its rapid rotation, completing a full turn in just a little over 10 hours, is not merely a numerical curiosity, but a mechanism that flattens the planet and stretches its clouds into perfectly aligned horizontal bands. You might find it remarkable how precise this organization becomes, with winds of hundreds of kilometers per hour blowing in opposite directions while maintaining stability for decades. This is Saturn's way of managing its enormous rotational energy, distributing heat and angular momentum in a manner that produces a meteorological system that may appear chaotic locally, yet reveals extraordinary order when observed as a whole. It is almost as if the planet were a finely tuned clock, each atmospheric layer functioning like a gear that fits seamlessly into the next. As we explore these deep mechanisms, we begin to realize that Saturn is a master of conservation and transformation. Nothing within its structure is truly lost. Ice that falls from the rings becomes heat. Gas compressed under pressure becomes metal. The motion of the planet becomes magnetism. It is a lesson in continuity and interdependence that invites us to relax in the knowledge that the universe follows fundamental laws, even in its most extreme environments. Let us feel the calm that arises from this understanding, allowing the thought of a giant world quietly operating its invisible mechanisms in the vacuum of space to guide us into a state of peaceful contemplation. Saturn is not merely an object to admire from afar, but a living system of forces acting on a scale far beyond our daily experience, inviting our imagination to wander through pathways of discovery and serenity. This world of extreme pressures and temperatures is the birthplace of phenomena that we are only beginning to decipher. The way internal heat interacts with the rain of ring material forms a delicate dance that keeps Saturn among the most dynamic environments in the cosmos. As we imagine metallic currents flowing through its depths, we begin to sense the heartbeat of a planet that is at once a gentle giant and a furnace of epic proportions. Every detail uncovered within these hidden processes brings us closer to understanding how giant planets form and evolve, revealing that Saturn's outward beauty is only the reflection of a deep and majestic natural engineering. Let us remain in this quiet state of discovery, feeling the harmony of these forces while preparing our thoughts for the next mysteries this extraordinary world still holds. As we deepen our journey through this world of wonders, I now invite you to travel into a region of mysteries that challenge even the brightest minds of modern science. Can you imagine what it would be like to find at the top of a gas giant planet a perfectly geometric structure with 6 equal sides that has persisted for decades without losing its shape? We are speaking of the immense hexagonal storm that crowns Saturn's North Pole, a secret revealed in remarkable detail by the Cassini spacecraft, and one that continues to stand as one of the greatest enigmas in planetary meteorology throughout the solar system. Imagine a storm so vast that each of its 6 sides is larger than the entire diameter of Earth itself, a polygon of clouds and winds rotating in synchrony with the planet's internal rotation, maintaining a stability that seems almost impossible in such a chaotic environment. You might feel astonished sensing the scale of this structure, where powerful winds act like invisible borders, shaping gas into a geometry that we rarely observe outside crystals or honeycombs here on Earth. Scientists are still working to understand how this shape maintains such precision, challenging our understanding of how fluids behave under extreme pressure and velocity. Within this hexagonal storm, the mystery deepens even further when we realize that it is not a static image, but a dynamic system that changes color as Saturn's seasons progress during its 29-year orbit around the Sun. Can you imagine the patience of nature in carrying out these transformations, where deep blue tones slowly turn golden as sunlight interacts with the chemistry of the upper atmosphere? This rare phenomenon shows us that Saturn is a planet that breathes and responds to its environment in ways we are still trying to map and understand. Yet the geometry of the North Pole is only the beginning of the secrets hidden beneath Saturn's layers of cloud. There exists a question scientists often refer to as Saturn's energy crisis, an atmospheric warming that cannot yet be fully explained and that makes the upper layers of the atmosphere much hotter than they should be. How can a world so distant from the Sun maintain such vibrant heat? One of the most intriguing discoveries suggests that the falling ice from the rings may be warming the atmosphere, though the full mechanism behind this process remains an open mystery, inviting further exploration. Let us now follow an even subtler path, exploring a secret that involves the very family of moons orbiting Saturn. Can you imagine that some of these moons are, at this very moment, slowly escaping the gravitational embrace of the giant planet? This phenomenon, known as runaway moons, reveals that satellites such as Mimas, Enceladus, and Tethys are moving away from Saturn much faster than classical theories once predicted. This discovery shakes the foundations of what we believed we understood about the age and formation of this entire system. If these moons are drifting away so rapidly, it may suggest that they are much younger than the planet itself, perhaps formed from the aftermath of a colossal collision or from the fragmentation of an ancient moon that ventured too close to the fatal limit of Saturn's gravity. The physics behind this accelerated escape continues to be investigated, and every centimeter those moons travel away from their gaseous master becomes another clue in the puzzle that attempts to reconstruct Saturn's turbulent past. Experiencing these mysteries reminds us that Saturn is a master of concealing its true nature behind an appearance of serenity. You might find it fascinating to realize that while we admire the calm elegance of its rings, the planet itself is constantly changing, with moons forming, drifting outward, and rings slowly dissolving over time. It is a cycle of renewal that science has only begun to understand, thanks to the courage of sending machines beyond the boundaries of our knowledge. Each piece of data transmitted by the Cassini spacecraft, before its final and heroic descent into Saturn's clouds, revealed questions we did not even know we needed to ask. Why does Saturn possess so many moons, more than 140? And why do some of them display such radically different characteristics from one another? It is almost as if each moon were an independent geological or chemical experiment, orbiting the same center of gravity while telling entirely different stories about the origins of water, methane, and perhaps even life itself. As we absorb the weight of these secrets, we are gently guided toward a sense of humility before the grandeur of the cosmos. The hexagonal storm, the mysterious atmospheric heating, and the escaping moons are not merely scientific facts, but invitations for our imagination to travel through regions where ordinary logic struggles to apply. Can you imagine the immense forces required to maintain a six-sided storm stable for hundreds of years, on a planet spinning at incredible speed? It is a form of natural engineering that leaves us almost speechless, allowing science itself to transform into a kind of quiet contemplation. These rare discoveries teach us that the universe is far stranger and more beautiful than even our boldest theories dare to suggest. Let these mysteries surround your thoughts like a gentle mist, bringing the calm understanding that there is still so much left to discover, and that every new question carries us a little closer to understanding our own origins in the vastness of deep space. Throughout this journey among Saturn's secrets, we also learn that time flows differently there, and what appears eternal to us may be only a brief moment in the planet's long history. The youth of the rings, believed to be only about 100 million years old, reinforces the idea that we exist in a privileged instant of cosmic history. If we had arrived a little earlier or a little later, the jewel of the solar system might not possess the brilliance that defines it today. This awareness of impermanence, combined with the mysteries of planetary weather and the outward flight of the moons, forms the narrative of a world that is constantly in motion. Let us feel the peace that comes from this continual transformation, recognizing that movement is the only absolute rule of the universe. While Saturn keeps its secrets hidden beneath layers of hydrogen and helium, we continue to imagine, to question, and to marvel at the complexity of a planet that never ceases to surprise us with its beauty and its enduring enigmas. As we continue our silent walk through this monumental system, I invite you to perceive Saturn not as an isolated object drifting through the vacuum, but as a pulsating heart maintaining an invisible and complex web of connections with everything around it. Can you imagine the universe as an immense web of delicate threads where a movement in one corner sends vibrations through the entire structure? Saturn is one of the most powerful nodes in that cosmic web. The first great connection we must sense is the profound and almost symbiotic relationship between the majestic rings and the very atmosphere of the giant planet itself. As we explored earlier, scientists have identified an unexpected warming in the upper layers of Saturn's atmosphere, and the impact of this phenomenon appears to arise from a direct interaction with the ice orbiting along its equator. This rain of ring material is not simply the loss of matter, but a transfer of energy that alters the chemistry and temperature of the planet. You might find it astonishing to realize that the destruction of one structure is precisely what sustains the warmth of another, revealing an interdependence that challenges our sense of cosmic isolation. This connection extends far beyond the gaseous clouds and reaches the frozen depths of Saturn's moons, creating consequences that resonate with humanity's search for the origins of life. Let us mentally descend into the biological connection Saturn establishes through moons such as Enceladus. Can you imagine that small and distant worlds could hide vast oceans of liquid water beneath kilometers of solid ice? The significance of this discovery is immense for modern science because it directly touches one of humanity's greatest questions. Are we alone in the universe? The presence of these subterranean oceans raises profound possibilities about life beyond Earth, suggesting that the conditions necessary for biology may be far more common than we once dared to imagine. Saturn's role in this process is that of a gravitational protector. Its immense mass generates tidal forces that flex the interiors of these moons, producing the heat necessary to keep water liquid in environments that should otherwise remain frozen forever. It is a pure exchange of energy, where the motion of the gas giant warms the hidden hearts of its satellites. Beyond Enceladus, Saturn's chemical connection with the moon Titan offers us something that resembles a mirror reflecting the distant past of our own planet. You might find it remarkable how similar Titan's dense nitrogen-rich atmosphere is to the conditions scientists believe existed on the early Earth billions of years ago. The impact of this discovery on our understanding of prebiotic chemistry is extraordinary. As we imagine traveling across Titan's landscape, with rivers and lakes not of water but of liquid methane, we begin to feel a connection between worlds that follow the same cycles of evaporation and rain, even though their ingredients are different. By hosting Titan, Saturn preserves a natural laboratory where scientists can observe how complex molecules organize themselves before life emerges. In this way, Saturn becomes a guardian of our biological past, a cosmic archive allowing us to explore ancient chemistry without ever leaving the safety of our imagination. Saturn's connections also appear in the order it brings to the outer solar system. Its colossal gravity acts like an anchor, influencing the orbits of thousands of smaller bodies and helping to clear paths through fields of drifting debris. Can you imagine the invisible strength of this giant, acting like the conductor of a vast orchestra made of ice and rock? The result of this gravitational stability is a system of moons that is both enormous and diverse, with more than 140 satellites orbiting in delicate harmony. Each of these moons, from the tiny Pan to the massive Titan, remains connected to Saturn through gravitational bonds that determine its path and its destiny. This network of relationships creates a dynamic system in which matter is constantly recycled. What was once part of a moon may one day become part of a ring, and what forms part of a ring may eventually fall into the atmosphere of the planet itself. In the realm of scientific investigation, the discoveries made around Saturn, especially through missions such as Cassini, have transformed the way humanity studies planets beyond our own solar system. The connections we have learned to observe here now serve as models for understanding the giant exoplanets discovered orbiting distant stars. When scientists study Saturn's atmospheric heating, or the motion of its escaping moons, they are not only learning about one planet, but developing tools to decode the entire universe. Saturn's influence therefore extends far beyond the borders of our solar system, linking us to distant galaxies and to worlds we may never physically reach. Can you sense how this knowledge changes our perspective, replacing the feeling of being lost in the darkness with the calm realization that we are observers within a vast and ordered cosmic structure? Another profound influence Saturn has on humanity lies in the way it reshapes our understanding of time and impermanence. The connection between the youth of the rings and their eventual disappearance teaches us about the fragile nature of cosmic structures. This realization carries not only scientific meaning, but also emotional and philosophical weight. It reminds us that even the brightest jewels of the universe follow a life cycle. Feeling this connection with impermanence allows us to relax into the flow of nature, recognizing that change is not something to fear, but something to admire. Saturn quietly teaches us that beauty can exist both in creation and in gradual dissolution, and that transformation is a natural rhythm of the cosmos. Let us now consider the connection between Saturn's hexagonal storm and our understanding of fluid dynamics here on Earth. The impact of this phenomenon on physics is significant because it challenges the mathematical models scientists use to describe atmospheric motion. When researchers attempt to explain how 6 perfectly defined sides can remain stable for decades, they connect the science of Saturn with meteorology and engineering on our own planet. In this way, knowledge travels between worlds. A storm swirling billions of kilometers away becomes a key that helps us understand turbulence, circulation, and motion in the very air we breathe. You might find it remarkable that a pattern of clouds on Saturn could help scientists refine the equations used to predict weather patterns on Earth. As we conclude this exploration of Saturn's connections and influences, allow the idea of a deeply interconnected universe to bring a sense of comfort. Saturn is not merely a distant planet. It is a center of influence shaping space, time, and the potential for life around it. Each connection we uncover, from the rain of icy particles warming the atmosphere to the hidden oceans that stir our dreams of extraterrestrial biology, reinforces the understanding that the universe operates as a harmonious system. Saturn's greatest influence on us may be the reminder that we are made from the same cosmic ingredients and governed by the same physical laws that hold the rings in orbit and guide the moons along their eternal paths. Let this awareness settle gently within you, like a quiet blanket of understanding, as we prepare to continue uncovering the mysteries that still rest within the golden shadows of this remarkable world. Since the first human beings lifted their eyes toward the dark canopy of the night sky, the presence of Saturn has been there, quietly shaping our collective imagination. Can you imagine what our ancestors felt when they noticed a golden point of light moving across the heavens, far more slowly than any other wandering star? In those ancient times, without the aid of instruments, Saturn represented the outer boundary of the known universe, the final sentinel marking the frontier between what could be understood and the vast mystery beyond. Its majestic slowness, taking nearly 30 Earth years to complete a single orbit around the Sun, led many cultures to associate it with time and destiny. In ancient Greece, it was known as Cronus, the Lord of Ages. To the Romans, it became Saturn, the god of agriculture and harvest, the one who taught humanity to cultivate the land and respect the rhythms of nature. Through centuries of observation, the planet evolved from a distant celestial object into a symbol of patience, structure, and the quiet passage of time. You might find it fascinating to imagine the moment when humanity's relationship with Saturn changed forever, when observation shifted from mythology to investigation. In the year 1610, Galileo Galilei pointed his primitive telescope toward the sky and encountered something that left him deeply puzzled. The lenses of that time were still imperfect, and he could not clearly resolve the rings as we know them today. Instead, he believed Saturn appeared as a triple-bodied object, or as if it possessed strange appendages that he described as ears. Imagine the mixture of confusion and wonder experienced by a man who suddenly realized that the universe was far stranger than any myth could have imagined. This discovery marked the beginning of a new chapter in humanity's relationship with Saturn, one in which the planet challenged our technology and our reasoning, forcing us to refine our tools and our understanding. Only decades later did astronomers finally realize that those mysterious ears were in fact a magnificent system of flat rings surrounding the planet without touching it at any point. Our connection with Saturn is also a story of technological courage and perseverance. You might find it remarkable to consider the extraordinary effort required for humanity to send its mechanical emissaries across the immense distances of the solar system. When the Voyager spacecraft passed by Saturn in the early 1980s, they brought images that made people around the world feel, perhaps for the first time, that the solar system truly was our neighborhood. Yet it was the Cassini mission, together with the Huygens probe that descended onto the surface of Titan, that transformed this connection into something far more intimate. For the first time in history, humanity was able to sense what it might be like to touch the ground of a distant moon, a world where thick atmosphere and extreme cold shape a landscape that strangely echoes features of our own planet, yet in an alien and frozen form. This mission was not only a technological triumph, but also a cultural moment that reshaped our understanding of Saturn and its moons, revealing geological and chemical richness that speaks directly to questions about the origins of life and the evolution of planetary systems. Feeling Saturn's presence across centuries invites us to reflect upon our place in the cosmos. The planet that astonishes observers through even the simplest telescope has become a source of inspiration for artists, poets, and dreamers throughout history. It represents a delicate balance between immense gravitational power and the fragile beauty of a ring made of ice. This harmony has echoed through human culture as a reminder that the universe possesses both structure and elegance. Can you imagine how the discovery of hidden oceans beneath the icy crust of moons such as Enceladus reshapes our philosophy? The possibility that life might exist beneath Saturn's frozen moons reduces the sense of human isolation in the universe, offering the hopeful idea that biology may be a universal language written across many worlds. This possibility changes the way we view the solar system, transforming exploration from a search for resources into a search for distant biological relatives scattered across the darkness. Saturn also teaches humanity a profound lesson about time. When scientists discovered that the rings are relatively young and slowly disappearing, we were confronted with the realization that even cosmic beauty can be temporary. The moment in which we exist becomes a rare window in history, allowing us to witness a spectacle that neither the dinosaurs of Earth's distant past nor the observers of a far future will experience in quite the same way. This realization carries a deep emotional resonance. It encourages us to appreciate the present moment, to care for our own world, and to continue seeking knowledge while the cosmic scenery around us continues to change. Saturn becomes a quiet teacher, reminding us that impermanence does not diminish beauty. It makes it more meaningful. The future relationship between humanity and Saturn is already beginning to take shape through the ambitions of modern science. Can you imagine a small flying machine exploring the skies of Titan, gliding above dunes of nitrogen ice and lakes of liquid methane sometime in the decade of the 2030s? This vision is represented by the Dragonfly mission, an ambitious project designed to study Titan's chemistry and investigate the complex molecules that may resemble the earliest stages of life's formation. This mission represents the continuation of humanity's long dream of exploring distant worlds, a dream shared across generations of scientists, engineers, and curious minds. As we consider this future, Saturn becomes more than a distant planet. It becomes a mirror reflecting both our deepest fears and our greatest hopes for discovery. Let us pause for a moment and feel the quiet sense of peace that comes from this long relationship between Saturn and humanity. Knowing that the planet continues its slow orbit while we sleep and wake brings a sense of stability that has comforted human observers for thousands of years. Civilizations have always looked to the heavens for guidance and orientation, and Saturn has remained one of the most faithful markers in the sky. It teaches patience, reminding us that some journeys require decades before their rewards are revealed. Each new piece of data we receive, each simulation of its hexagonal storms or shimmering rings, strengthens the invisible bond connecting our species to the wider universe. Humanity is the species that looked toward the distant frontier of the solar system and decided that those remote worlds were part of our story as well. As we conclude this reflection on Saturn's relationship with humanity, we come to understand that the planet represents one of the most powerful symbols of scientific wonder and poetic inspiration. It challenges us to become more curious, to build more advanced technologies, and to expand the horizons of our philosophy. When we imagine the future, perhaps a time when we might drill through the icy crust of Enceladus to search for life, we feel a profound connection with the possibilities of tomorrow. May the calm presence of this giant world continue to guide our dreams and our investigations, reminding us that the beauty of the universe requires nothing more than quiet attention and thoughtful curiosity to be fully appreciated. Saturn continues its slow and majestic orbit, waiting patiently for us to continue writing our story alongside its timeless mysteries. As we project our thoughts toward the horizon of tomorrow, we are invited to walk along a path of anticipation and discovery that feels almost as if it had been drawn from the most imaginative works of science fiction. Can you imagine what the future may reveal about the jewel of the solar system? The mysteries that today seem nearly impossible to solve will become the foundations of new investigations, guiding humanity toward touching, at least through our machines, the boundaries of life and primordial chemistry. The future of Saturn within our scientific awareness is an invitation to both patience and boldness, where every new mission represents another step on the long staircase leading us toward understanding our own origins in the cosmos. One of the most exciting possibilities for the coming decades centers on a mission that seems to defy both gravity and distance. You might find it fascinating to imagine that in the year 2034, a small aerial vehicle known as Dragonfly is expected to arrive at Saturn's moon Titan. Picture an advanced drone capable of flying above dunes made of frozen hydrocarbons and over lakes of liquid methane, landing at different locations across the surface to conduct experiments that until now have existed only in theory. The central purpose of this future journey is to explore prebiotic chemistry, searching for clues about how the basic ingredients of life organize themselves in an environment that may resemble the early conditions of our own planet. Imagining this small machine drifting through the orange skies of Titan allows us to feel the continuation of humanity's enduring question: is the spark of life a common phenomenon throughout the universe, or a rare miracle? Beyond the skies of Titan, the future also invites us to imagine journeys toward another world that stirs deep curiosity among scientists. Can you imagine the engineering challenges involved in one day drilling through the thick crust of ice covering the moon, Enceladus? This possibility stands as one of the most ambitious dreams of modern astrobiology. Beneath that frozen shell lies an ocean of liquid water, hidden in darkness and warmed by the gravitational influence of Saturn itself. The idea of sending probes capable of penetrating kilometers of ice to reach that hidden sea pushes the limits of human ingenuity. Investigating such an ocean would not simply be a search for water, but an exploration of environments that may contain hydrothermal vents capable of sustaining entire ecosystems in complete darkness. The future of Saturn is closely linked to these small icy worlds, where the possibility of life may be quietly waiting beneath layers of frozen silence. The future also deepens our understanding of the temporary nature of the structures we admire today. You might find it surprising to imagine Saturn millions of years from now without the luminous rings that make it instantly recognizable. As we have learned, the rings are slowly disappearing, gradually pulled downward by gravity and magnetism. Imagining the distant future reveals a planet that will one day return to a simpler form, a giant world wrapped only in its golden clouds, without the brilliant halo of ice surrounding it. Future observers, perhaps in civilizations far beyond our own era, may look toward Saturn and see a beauty defined not by rings, but by the complexity of its atmosphere and the quiet majesty of its storms. This slow transformation reminds us that nature continually reshapes itself across immense stretches of time. In the realm of physics and planetary science, the future promises to reveal deeper answers to puzzles that still challenge researchers today. Imagine new generations of space telescopes and orbiting probes capable of observing Saturn continuously for decades, measuring every subtle change in pressure, chemistry, and color within its atmosphere. These future observations may finally clarify how the falling material from the rings interacts with the upper layers of gas to generate the unexpected warmth scientists detect today. Such knowledge will not remain limited to Saturn. It will influence our understanding of the many giant planets discovered around distant stars, allowing us to interpret the climates and internal structures of worlds far beyond our own solar system. Saturn will remain one of our most valuable laboratories for understanding fluid dynamics on planetary scales. Another important aspect of Saturn's future concerns the long-term movement of its moons. Can you imagine how the system might appear millions of years from now as some of the inner moons continue their slow, outward drift? The phenomenon of these escaping moons may gradually reshape the architecture of the Saturnian system, creating new gravitational relationships or even triggering collisions that form entirely new rings. Scientists will continue studying this process carefully, using it to understand how planetary systems evolve across cosmic time. The gentle migration of these moons is another reminder that the universe is never static. Even the most majestic celestial systems are always changing, guided by the invisible mathematics of gravity. Technological innovation will also allow humanity to experience Saturn in ways that earlier generations could hardly imagine. With advances in artificial intelligence and data modeling, scientists will be able to reconstruct Saturn's atmosphere in astonishing detail, using information gathered from missions such as Cassini. These simulations may allow us to virtually travel through the layers of hydrogen and helium, feeling the pressure of the deep atmosphere, and tracing the currents of metallic hydrogen hidden far below the clouds. Through these digital explorations, Saturn will remain vividly present in human knowledge even during long intervals between space missions. You might also find it inspiring to realize that the future of Saturn belongs not only to scientists, but to the curiosity of new generations. As discoveries about Enceladus and Titan continue to unfold, young minds around the world will grow up seeing Saturn not merely as a distant planet, but as a destination for exploration and imagination. Each new generation of students, engineers, and astronomers will inherit the questions left by the previous one, carrying forward the shared human desire to understand the cosmos. Saturn becomes a beacon guiding that curiosity, encouraging cooperation among nations and reminding us that science is one of humanity's most unifying pursuits. Let us pause for a moment and feel the calm that accompanies this sense of patient anticipation. The future does not arrive suddenly. It is built gradually through curiosity, dedication, and imagination. Knowing that missions such as Dragonfly are already planned offers us a gentle anchor in time, allowing our thoughts to travel forward toward the moment when new discoveries will emerge from the skies of Titan. Saturn continues its slow rotation beneath its hexagonal storm, while we prepare the instruments and knowledge needed for the next great step in exploration. This journey into tomorrow reveals that Saturn will remain an endless source of discovery. Each new observation of its rings, moons, and atmosphere will add another piece to the puzzle of how planets, chemistry, and life evolve across the universe. The exploration of Saturn is far from finished. In many ways, it is only beginning to enter its most mature and fascinating phase. Let us remain in this quiet state of expectation, feeling the harmony of the cosmic forces guiding the future, while the promise of new stories from Saturn surrounds us like a gentle glow of knowledge drifting through the darkness. We now arrive at the moment when our journey through the Saturnian system begins to transform from a collection of discoveries into a deeper reflection on what it means to observe the universe itself. Can you imagine the quiet peace that exists in knowing that, while the world around us often feels fast and restless, this giant planet continues its slow and majestic rotation beneath sunlight that has traveled for more than an hour just to reach its golden clouds? as we mentally travel across the rings, the moons, and the hexagonal storms, we begin to sense a poetic synthesis about the nature of time and beauty. Saturn is not merely a planet. It is a mirror reflecting the fundamental laws that govern both the most distant galaxies and the quiet rhythm of our own heartbeat. To feel this connection is to understand that the jewel of the solar system offers a lesson about balance between what is temporary and what feels eternal. When we reflect upon the mysteries we have explored, such as the youth of the rings and their slow disappearance, we begin to realize that beauty often arises from fragility. You might feel fascinated by the thought that we exist within a cosmic instant in which we have the privilege of witnessing a structure that, in 100 million years, will exist only as scattered dust drifting through space. This sense of transience invites a deep state of acceptance and calm. If even a giant planet measuring more than 120,000 kilometers across can experience change and the gradual loss of its icy crown, then perhaps we too can find peace within the impermanence of our own lives. Saturn quietly reminds us that nothing in the universe remains static, yet every stage of transformation possesses its own form of splendor, from the chaotic birth of moons to the silent migration of those that slowly drift away. Let us imagine for a moment the silence surrounding Saturn's icy moons such as Enceladus and Titan. Beneath kilometers of frozen crust, hidden oceans of liquid water may pulse quietly with the possibility of life. This idea reshapes the philosophy of our existence. The realization that life might emerge in places so distant reminds us that Earth may not be the only cradle of biology in the universe. When we explore methane rivers on Titan, or imagine hydrothermal vents beneath the dark ocean of Enceladus, we are not only studying distant worlds, we are searching for the same chemical processes that once allowed life to arise on our own planet. This investigation brings a certain intellectual serenity, because it reveals that the universe is not an empty or hostile void, but a vast nursery of possibilities waiting patiently for the right conditions to unfold. Can you sense the harmony contained within the geometric perfection of Saturn's North Pole? The persistent hexagonal storm becomes a symbol of order emerging from chaos. Even in the most turbulent environments imaginable, the laws of physics have the capacity to create patterns of astonishing symmetry. This is nature's quiet strategy, to transform pressure, motion, and turbulence into structures that resemble works of art. As we mentally trace the six sides of that immense storm, we allow the disorder of our thoughts to dissolve into the clarity of natural order. Saturn becomes a teacher of patience, maintaining its patterns across decades while centuries pass almost unnoticed in the silent depths of space. The relationship between Saturn and humanity is also a testament to our capacity for wonder. From the first observers who traced its slow motion across the sky to future missions like Dragonfly exploring Titan's atmosphere, the force drawing us toward this distant giant is the desire to belong to something larger than ourselves. Scientific curiosity gradually becomes a form of quiet poetry. When we imagine a flying machine exploring the methane lakes of Titan in search of prebiotic chemistry, we feel a deep sense of hope. That hope connects us to the future, reminding us that even when the night sky appears distant and mysterious, it is also an invitation for discovery. Saturn stands as a silent sentinel, encouraging us never to stop asking questions and never to lose the ability to be amazed by what lies beyond our familiar world. At this moment, allow yourself to be carried gently by the soft gravitational presence of this extraordinary planet. Imagine floating above the ring, surrounded by trillions of particles of ice reflecting the faint light of distant stars. There is no weight here, no urgency, only the quiet circular motion that defines life within the Saturnian system. Let the thought of mysteries yet unsolved bring comfort rather than uncertainty. Not everything in the universe needs an immediate explanation to be meaningful. Some wonders simply exist to expand our perspective and remind us that the cosmos is our greater home. Saturn will remain there, turning slowly in its vast throne of hydrogen and helium, guarding secrets that humanity may spend centuries trying to understand. The philosophy of Saturn is ultimately a philosophy of connection. The planet, its rings, its moons, and its atmosphere form a single integrated system where the fall of one fragment of ice can influence the temperature of an entire world. This interdependence is perhaps the most important lesson of all. Everything in the universe is connected through invisible threads of gravity, energy, and history. When we relax into this awareness, we feel supported by the same cosmic order that keeps Saturn's ring suspended and its moons traveling along their eternal paths. Allow this realization to settle gently within you, bringing a sense of calm that comes from understanding that we are part of a vast and magnificent story unfolding across the universe. As we allow our thoughts to travel gently across the Saturnian system, we reach the moment when exploration becomes reflection. Can you imagine the quiet sense of calm that comes from realizing that, while our lives move quickly through days and years, Saturn continues its slow and steady dance around the Sun, turning beneath a light that has crossed more than 1 billion kilometers of space just to touch its clouds? When we mentally cross the rings, the storms, and the distant moons, we begin to understand that Saturn is more than a distant world. It is a symbol of the deep harmony that governs the universe itself. When we reflect on the mysteries we have encountered, the story of Saturn becomes a meditation on time. The rings that appear so permanent are, in truth, young and temporary structures in the immense timeline of the cosmos. You might find it fascinating to realize that we are living in a rare moment of cosmic history, a moment when this crown of ice exists for us to observe. In another 100 million years, the rings will slowly fade away as gravity pulls their icy fragments into the planet below. This understanding invites a quiet acceptance of change. If even a giant world like Saturn evolves and transforms across time, then change itself becomes one of the most natural forces in existence. Let us also remember the silent moons that accompany Saturn in its journey. Beneath the frozen crust of Enceladus may lie warm oceans hidden in darkness, while Titan preserves lakes and rivers of methane beneath an orange sky. These distant worlds expand our imagination about what life might be and where it might exist. They remind us that the chemistry that gave rise to life on Earth could also unfold in places far beyond our own planet. The study of these moons is not only about astronomy, it is about understanding the deeper story of how matter organizes itself into living systems across the universe. The great hexagonal storm at Saturn's North Pole also remains one of the most remarkable symbols of natural order. 6 perfect sides carved from turbulent clouds remind us that even chaos can give birth to symmetry. In the powerful winds and endless motion of Saturn's atmosphere, the laws of physics quietly sculpt patterns of astonishing beauty. Observing this structure invites us to pause and appreciate how the universe transforms energy and movement into forms that feel almost artistic. Saturn's story is also deeply intertwined with the story of humanity. For thousands of years, this slow-moving light in the night sky guided the imagination of observers who had no instruments beyond their eyes. Later, telescopes revealed its rings, transforming a point of light into a world of extraordinary complexity. In modern times, missions such as Cassini carried our curiosity across billions of kilometers, sending back images and data that reshaped our understanding of the outer solar system. Through these explorations, Saturn became more than a distant object. It became part of our shared scientific journey. The future promises even more discoveries. Missions planned for the coming decades will explore Titan's chemistry and continue investigating the oceans hidden beneath icy moons. Each new observation will deepen our understanding not only of Saturn, but of planetary systems throughout the galaxy. The lessons we learn from this giant planet will guide the study of countless worlds orbiting distant stars. As our journey slowly comes to rest, allow yourself to imagine floating quietly above Saturn's rings. Around you drift countless particles of ice reflecting faint sunlight, each one following its own delicate orbit. There is no urgency here, no noise, only the slow rhythm of gravity guiding every motion. This image reminds us that the universe often moves with patience, shaping its wonders across immense spans of time. Saturn remains there, continuing its silent rotation beneath its golden clouds, carrying its rings and moons along their endless paths. It stands as a reminder that the universe is filled with mysteries waiting to be understood and beauty waiting to be noticed. And in observing it, we discover not only the story of a distant planet but also a deeper connection between our curiosity and the vast cosmos that surrounds us. If you enjoyed this quiet exploration of Saturn and the wonders of astronomy, consider subscribing and sharing this journey with others who appreciate thoughtful science. Your support helps Cosmos for Rest continue bringing calm and meaningful explorations of the universe to curious minds everywhere. Now allow your thoughts to settle gently, close your eyes, and let science guide you softly among the stars.